Now we have come to the keynote part of our program. We have a distinguished guest who has shined in everything he touched. He's an entrepreneur, philanthropist, civic leader, thought leader. And some of his accomplishments: he was a board of trustee for the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts, board of trustee for Ford's Theater since 2016, member of UN Foundation Global Leadership Council, International Advisory Council of U.S. Institute of Peace, member of Department of Commerce Industry Trade Advisory Committee, and advisory committee at several educational institutions: Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland Smith School, George Mason University, Harvard University, Kennedy School of Government, and several other schools across the world. And his charitable involvements: he's the president of Frank Islam and Debbie Dreisman Charitable Foundation, board of director for Potomac Charities, and he's also a successful businessman and sitting in several boards: Indus Industries, South Asia Center at Atlantic Council. He's not only a businessman, he also writes frequently in media and on various topics. IOC USA Washington DC chapter is inviting you to this as a keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Islam.
Thank you very much, Tahir, for your fine introduction. I want to pick up what Ms. Johnson said. It is America's inclusiveness and openness that provided me the letters of opportunity to succeed. Sorry about that. Am I back now?
Yes, you are. Please, yes, you are.
It's America's inclusiveness and openness that provided me the letters of opportunity to succeed. These are the strengths, the values, and qualities of America that all of us can proudly and truly embrace. We all are immigrants. As President Kennedy once said, when I gave a speech at JFK Library not too long ago, immigrants infuse this nation with far horizons and new frontier, thereby keeping the hope alive and well. As far as my philanthropic engagement is concerned, it's not only in India and the United States, but around the globe. And I'm reminded and guided by the words of President Kennedy, who said, "To whom much is given, much is expected." Now, I want to get back to my remarks. It is truly an honor and privilege to speak at this special event on this special occasion. My deep gratitude to the leadership of the Indian Overseas Congress Washington chapter for inviting me to share my thoughts with all of you today. I applaud the IOC's actions to highlight and amplify the work, ideals, and rich history of the Indian National Congress, promoting freedom, democracy, and justice, be it in India or in the United States, are the noblest of goals. So kudos to you and the other chapters of the IOC for your vision, for your value, and for your mission. And thanks to my good friend and IOC Chairman, Sam Petroda, and the leadership of all the chapters for the wonderful job you indeed are doing. That said, my warmest Republic Day greetings to all of you. For those of us who have been away from India for decades, Republic Day, Independence Day are among the few times that we gather to celebrate the great country of our birth. And thank you for letting me spend this time with all of you this evening. I'm sure you'd agree with me that it would have been a lot nicer if we could have celebrated the Republic Day with an in-person event rather than doing it virtually. But under the circumstances, we are doing the next best thing, which is connecting virtually to mark the 72nd Republic Day of India. Because of the devastating impact of the COVID-19, this year's Republic Day has been a sober affair everywhere, including in New Delhi, where usually it is celebrated with the great pomp and pageantry. Hopefully, sometimes in the not so distant future, we'll be able to resume Republic Day and Independence Days the way we used to. I'm sure you can all recall past Republic Days that were special and how you spend them. The one I remember most fondly happened 6 years ago in 2015. I attended the Republic Day at the India's capital as a part of the United States delegation accompanying President Obama. It was the first time and only time a United States president attended a Republic Day event as the guest of honor. As an Indian American, watching the ceremonial parade and Rajpath was a proud and humbling moment for me. As you know, this parade symbolizes the diversity and inclusivity of India, its splendid culture and rich history and heritage. It also showcases the remarkable progress the country has made in different fields over the decades, including its military power. I have made many visits to India since coming to the United States roughly half a century ago, but no visit could top that trip in January 2015 with President Obama. That's my memory from a Republic Day not so long ago. I know each and every one of you have your own wonderful ones as well. Today, on this Republic Day, I want to talk about other memories. They are Indian memories and American memories. From the Indian perspective, I'll pay tribute to the Constitution of India. After that, from the American perspective, I will talk a bit about the progress we, the Indian American community, has made and the future that we can help create for both India and the United States of America. We all know it was 71 years ago on January 26th, the Constitution of India was born. On that day, India made its newly minted Constitution the governing document of our motherland. The Constitution of India is an extraordinary document that captured the spirit of India and delineated the path forward for the nation. The reason I want to talk about the Constitution of India in 2021 and take you all down a memory lane is because what's happening around the world lately, including in the United States and India. In recent years, we have seen many democratic nations drifting from the lofty ideals of their founding fathers, moving away from commitment generation of the leaders made to uphold democracy and reversing the progress made in areas such as civil rights, religious freedom, and social justice and human rights. Nowhere in this has this more apparent than in our own country, the United States of America. 5 years ago, for anyone to say that democracy will regress and be in danger in this nation, which has long been a beacon of hope for democracy and freedom around the globe. That is why it is difficult now in 2021 to believe that we have just emerged from such a dark and sad chapter in our history. The good news is that even though the country remains deeply divided politically, our democracy remains intact. Now we can close the darkest, ugliest, and saddest chapter in our history and begin a new chapter that is filled with hope and optimism and have a new beginning. Let me also say it is intact. Our Constitution and democracy is intact because our institutions are strong, because many leaders, both Republicans and Democrats, holding important position at the federal, state, and local level, correctly understood the letter and spirit of the American Constitution. They stood united to protect and defend that Constitution. Now, after witnessing a transfer of power that was far from peaceful, we have a greater appreciation for the United States Constitution. India's Constitution is very similar to that of the United States. As Indian Americans, we have a unique perspective of the Indian Constitution and understood those similarities between better than most others. During his 2015 Republic Day visit, President Obama talked about those similarities in his unusual, and I guess I would say usual, insightful, eloquent manner. President Obama said, and I quote, "We created a constitution that began with the same three words, we the people." The president added, and I quote, "Your constitution begins with the pledge to uphold the dignity of the individuals, and our Declaration of Independence proclaims that all men are created equal." He continued, "We vote in free elections, we work and we build and we innovate. We lift up the least among us. We reach for heights previous generation could have not even imagined. We respect human rights and human dignity, and it is recorded in our Constitution. And we keep striving to live up to those ideals put to paper all those years ago." It is not a pure coincidence the United States-India Constitution contains not only similar words and phrases, but the same vision and values as well. The students of Indian history know that the frames of the Indian Constitution borrowed substantially from the United States Constitution. On December 9, 1946, 249 days before India gained its independence, the Constituent Assembly of the soon-to-be free country met for the first time to begin discussion on its constitution. The Constitution Assembly was chaired by its temporary president, Sinha. The Constituent Assembly concept originated in France in 1789. But Mr. Sinha, a prominent London-educated lawyer, had only one piece of advice for India's 209-member body. It was to study the United States Constitution. He called the American Constitution the soundest and the most practical and workable Republican Constitution in existence. 2 weeks after India's independence on August 29, 1947, the Constituent Assembly appointed a 7-member drafting committee under the chairmanship of B.R. Ambedkar. The framers then went to work. 820 days later, the Constitution was passed and adopted by the Assembly. It contained 145,000 words, including 395 articles, making it the longest constitution of a country. The Indian Constitution is nearly 32 times the length of the American Constitution. In addition to the Bill of Rights, the American influence in India's Constitution is reflected in the federal structure of government, the independent judiciary, the separation of powers, and equal protection under the law. One of the reasons the American Constitution influenced India's Constitution was Mr. Ambedkar's exposure to America and the United States political system. Dr. Ambedkar, who was the chief architect of India's Constitution, spent 3 years studying economics at Columbia University from 1913 to 1916. One of the 4 doctorates the giant of Indian history earned was an LLD from Columbia. In summary, as I stated earlier, it is no coincidence the Constitution of India mirrors the United States Constitution in many respects. Ambedkar and other framers borrow aspects of the Indian Constitution from other countries, including the parliamentary system of the United Kingdom. Although it was not completely original due to its comprehensive scope and detailed dimension, the Indian Constitution stands alone in terms of its historical significance. Because of this construction, despite some criticism through the year, the Indian Constitution has served as the guiding principle and a framework for operating the world's largest democracy for more than 7 decades. The beauty of the document is that although it is considered a living document, as it can be amended or modified easily, Many of the basic principles enshrined in it have been accepted as inalienable human right. I could go on and on about the greatness of India's constitution. But our recent history has proven that the laws and principles are only as good as the institutions and the people that guard and implement them. In fact, Dr. Ambedkar himself said it best. However good a constitution may be, it is sure to turn out to be bad because those who are called to work, it happened to be a bad lot. However bad a constitution may be, it may turn out to be good if those who are called to work, it happened to be a good lot. This is the key point that I want to make to you today. It is that we all need to understand the spirit of the Constitution, and we need to recommit ourselves to the values it has enshrined. Whether it is in the United States or India, we need to constantly hold our leaders and ourselves accountable. Now, let me turn briefly to the second part of my speech, which is to the emerging role that we as Indian Americans are playing in the United States, in India, and in the world. I must say that this is a topic that's close to my heart. And because of where we stand in this democratic republic called the United States, where India stands as the largest democracy in the world, I think it is especially relevant to discuss it today. I know that most of us who are here at this gathering are Americans. We're also proud Indian Americans. Many of us are also political creators who follow electoral politics in both the United States and India and participate in the political process here. Our participation in the November election was historically high. A big reason was the presence of one of our own, Kamala Harris, as a vice presidential candidate. Today, as I speak, in addition to Harris, a record number of Indian Americans are serving in the Biden administration. On day one of the Biden administration, nearly 20 Indian Americans began serving in various capacities. Ladies and gentlemen, that number will continue to increase. In my half a century as an American, I have never experienced a moment like this. Our presence as Indian Americans goes beyond the executive branch. We also have 4 Indian Americans in the U.S. House of Representatives and more than a dozen in various state houses across the country. And there's only one reason for that. It is our increased participation in the political process and our empowering civic engagement. Now, having fought for and received a seat at the table, we should not rest on our laurels. We must redouble our efforts to maintain and increase our participation in the political process, starting with the local politics. It is critical for all of us to be politically engaged, not only as Indian American, but also as a responsible citizen of this nation. I firmly believe engaging in political activities focused not just on winning election, but also on creating a common cause and unified people are pivotal to the future of this democracy. All of us should be involved in those types of activity in order to ensure that we continue to build a more perfect union and develop this country in a way that benefits the many as opposed to the selected few. Political engagement is one form of civic engagement that we should invest ourselves to make our society and this nation a better place. Political engagement is especially important because it can provide the lever for progress in other forms of engagement. President John F. Kennedy said, and I quote, "In a democracy, every citizen, regardless of his interest in politics, holds office. Every one of us is in a position of responsibility, and in the final analysis, the kind of government we get depends on how we fulfill those responsibilities." President Dwight D. Eisenhower put it this way, and I quote, "Politics ought to be part-time profession of free citizen who would protect the rights and privileges of free people and preserve what is good and fruitful in our national heritage. End of quotation. So that's a Democrat, President Kennedy, and a Republican, Dwight D. Eisenhower speaking. While political engagement can be partisan in nature, to be responsible, it must not be completely so. It must be bipartisan and subservient to civic engagement. Doing what is best for the country and its citizens must be more important than blind loyalty and allegiance to a political party. That is why I urge each and every one of you to stay politically and civically engaged. And I ask you to take your participation and activism to the next level. In closing, on this occasion of Republic Day, I wish that India, as one nation under God, will be a united land of big dreams, small treasures, brave people, kind deeds, and tender mercies. I wish the same for the United States of America. And I wish all Indian Americans, Indians in India, a healthy, prosperous, and peaceful 2021. So thank you for being here virtually and listening to me. God bless you all. God bless India, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. That